Hello, and welcome to Verbling. Hi there, I'm Teacher Oakley, and today will be the concluding class in a series of classes in which I have presented to students some questions taken from recent Ielts speaking tests, as reported by students. We're talking about tests in the last couple of weeks, and we've been practicing these IELTS tests all week. Today will be our final day in this little series here on Verbling. And here's the drill, pretty basic. We'll just go around the class. You'll be basically taking the test as a class. And so hopefully this can introduce you to some currently trending topics if you're getting ready to take the IELTS test in the near future. And we'll go one at a time with questions, and I'll give you feedback. Feedback, of course, obviously related to specifically the IELTS exam and then the IELTS scoring. Okay, let me start out by welcoming students to the class. Hello, V? Is it V?
Yes, hello, teacher. I'm V and I'm from Vietnam. Yesterday I was in your class, but because of the technical problems, so I was forced out. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry that you had technical problems. Okay, V, great. Welcome to the class. Are you planning on taking an IELTS exam in the near future?
Actually, I took one 3 years ago, and my score then was 6.0 because I didn't prepare enough. Just had 3 weeks for preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I didn't plan to go abroad that time because I was unemployed, so I needed something new for my CV. That's why I took an IELTS exam.
I see. Okay. Yeah, there's well, how long? Okay, you took it 3 years ago. When are the IELTS results valid? This, I don't know why I should know this, but this is something I always forget. When will you have? When will you have to take another one?
Another one? No, I mean the what's that? The validity of an IELTS test here is just 2 years.
2 years. Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. All right, that's what I thought. Okay, V. Well, we're going to practice today. V, if you wouldn't mind, if you can see, if you hover over your box on the bottom of the screen, you can see a little drop down box arrow. If you wouldn't mind muting yourself when you're not talking, because there's some background noise. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Well, all right. As V noted, there's a lot of reasons that people take the IELTS: to get a visa, to get into a university or graduate program, also to get a specific job which may involve English, or to just pad your resume. Okay. Moro, hello, welcome to the class.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi there.
Okay. I think I hope that my volume is okay for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I come from Italy, and sorry for my English. I think it's not enough for speaking so good. But I lived in England last year for 5 months in Bristol, and I improved my English language, and I want to improve better because for job because I studied economic study in Italy, and it's very important for commercial studying English. You know.
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let me jump right in as we practice these IELTS questions. This is what I'll be doing. Let me give you a little feedback. First of all, no need to apologize, but anyway, you said I don't think my I speaking so good, but please remember good and well. This is a very common mistake. Good is an adjective. This is really good yogurt, for example. I can't say this is really well yogurt. So well is an adverb. So you're talking about speaking well, because well, adverbs modify verbs and adjectives modify nouns. So be careful with good and well. You will hear people say, you're welcome. You'll hear people say I am well or I am good, and that's okay, because they could mean I am adjective, I am angry, I am frustrated, I am happy, I am good. Okay, that's an adjective, no problem. Or they could mean I am well, well modifying the verb am. Okay, I am being well. So it works. It seems like it works for both cases, but the fact is good is an adjective and well is an adverb. Okay, and also try to avoid, you said, I think I can improve better. Probably better to say, I think I can improve more. Improve means you're getting better, so it's kind of redundant. I think I can get better. I don't know. It's a little bit redundant. But okay, that's what we're doing. We'll practice questions. I'll give you feedback, and I will give you feedback as to some things you're doing and how that affects your IELTS score. If you have any questions whatsoever about IELTS, whether IELTS speaking or the entire IELTS system, I don't really care, or any questions that come up, I get excited about IELTS and I get into the feedback, feel free to interrupt me at any time. Just, hello, teacher, can I ask a question? Sure you can, and I will answer any questions. All right, we're gonna actually do a practice test, a test that was given recently. Well, where was it given? In India, quite recently. We'll be trying that out. We're going to start right now. Before we start, any questions about IELTS or IELTS scoring or IELTS in general? Anything at all? No? Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. All right, V, I'm going to start with you. We're going to begin at the beginning today. So after you introduce yourself to the interviewer and show your identification, the first question they will ask is, okay, V, where are you from?
Yes, I'm from Vietnam, and I'm living in the central of Vietnam, the city named Da Nang.
Okay. Once that you hear that question, where are you from, this is really the beginning of the test. When they ask your name, okay, just give your name. Can I see your ID? Sure, here you go. What should I call you? Please call me V.
Yeah.
And V, where are you from? Once you hear where you're from, the test has officially really begun. That means that you need to be speaking at length. So that was an okay answer, but please remember, in the IELTS examination, the point isn't to answer the questions. That's not the point at all. The point is to show as much English speaking skill as you have, as much vocabulary, sentence structure, variety, your organizational skills in speaking, your intonation and pronunciation. So what that means is talk a lot. There are no penalties for talking too much. The interviewer will simply say, thank you, that's enough, thank you. Next
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I got it.
Right. However, on the other hand, if you speak too little or give short answers, you're just answering the question, you're going to do miserably, terribly bad on the IELTS test, because the IELTS test isn't about answering a bunch of questions. It's about producing English. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a very normal mistake. People start to test, where do you live? Oh, I live in Brussels. I live in, they just say where they live and maybe where it is. So you gotta start it right away, giving more. Another general IELTS strategy. Generally speaking, for every question, if you can, without falling apart, try to talk about two things. So where are you from? Okay, you talked about one thing. Where it is located, you said that in the central of France. Better to say in the central area of France, or in the center of, I'm sorry, you said Vietnam, not France. In the center of Vietnam, or in the central area of Vietnam, or it is centrally located, but not central of, right? Okay. The next question, now that first question is always the first question on the speaking exam. The second question is always the second question. After that, who knows, you could have any topic in the world. So, Mauro, the second question, which you for sure will hear on your exam and you should practice for. Mauro, do you work or do you study?
Okay. I finished my study. My studies. I attended economic studies in near Rome, in the center of Italy. Then I attended a master in marketing and event organizations. The duration was like 1 year, and there was a practice in an office. Now I wait for a job, I hope, because in Italy now the situation is not very good. It's not very good, like job for looking for a job, because there is a crisis in Italy. So I hope in the future.
Okay. 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 Not so. That was pretty good. All right. Did he talk about two things? Well, yes, he did. He explained a little bit about his sequence. Well, he organized his speech by talking about a sequence. He went to school for this, and then masters, and now, and so he talked about education and looking for a job and what he's trying to do. So there was definitely, he's kind of talking about two things: study and work. Okay, let me give you, and you used a little bit of sequencing or organization, and then after that, using these transitions, they're called a lot of things: signal words or signal phrases, transitions, discourse markers, showing where you are, and then after that, and finally, they show where they organize your speech. Connectives, all of those things are all the same thing. They organize your speech. This is really, really crucial in the IELTS exam. IELTS really focuses on this in the scoring, and it is essential that you do this.
I'm sorry, teacher. So you want to say that I have to add in my speech some adverbs like finally, after that. It's right?
Yeah, if you're doing sequencing, if you're telling a story like you just did. Now, most of the exam, you're going to be talking about your preferences, your opinions, basic descriptions. So instead of talking about a sequence of events like you just did, you're going to be presenting points or presenting details. In that case, okay, it's like this. If you don't do this at all, you're going to end up with a 5, maybe a 5.5 out of 9. A top score is 9. Band score, they're called in Ielts. Top band score is 9. Now, nobody gets a 2 or a 1 in Ielts, just literally nobody. Most people, test takers, end up between 5 and 7. A huge percentage, like 66% or something like that. I can't remember, but 5 to 7 range. So it's very rare to get 7.5 and up or anything under a 5. It's only like 30% of the people. Okay, now that being said, to get a 5, you don't use these. To get a 6, then you use really basic ones. In my opinion, blah, blah, blah. First, blah, 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 blah. Secondly, blah, 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 blah. For example, blah, 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 blah. In conclusion, I would have to say blah, 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 blah. Okay, now you're in the 6.5 range. Okay, you're doing it. You're doing what you have to do, the basics. Okay, that's cool. You're managing it. You're managing your organization. You use some other connectives, blah, 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 and blah, 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 but, blah, 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 so, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you're 6 to 7 range. Great. Super. You want to do better? You have to get 7 and up. You have to do things like this. Well, okay, while there are a lot of different views on this question, from my perspective, I think that blah, blah, blah. Here's my opinion. The first point, which I probably need to tackle, is blah, 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 blah. First point. A good example of this is blah, 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 blah example. A second extremely important aspect to this question is blah, 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 blah. Second point. For instance, blah, 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 blah. However, on the other hand, blah, 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 contrasting point. So to summarize, in my opinion, blah, 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 conclusion. Like that. Much longer phrasal discourse markers. Ielts loves it. I know it's slightly not natural. It's wordy. I know that. It's redundant. I know that. But that's what Ielts really likes. They like these conversational, kind of long signal words or signal phrases. Here comes an opinion. Here comes a reason. Here comes an example. And the longer and more phrasal they are, the better you're going to do on the exam. Not to mention, by using these, I'm helping in all areas of the speaking, because okay, organization and fluency is 25% of the scoring, so clearly it's directly involved with, obviously, organization. Second, because you're using a lot of words, you're expanding your vocabulary, so obviously it's going to help vocabulary. You've got to have different ones, different discourse markers. Don't say additionally, 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 additionally every time you add a point, because that's not going to do you any good. You have to have a lot of different ones. And then, obviously, that will affect vocabulary. When you use these discourse markers, most of them are subordinating conjunctions or entire subordinating clauses, which means that your sentence structure becomes more complex, and that will raise your grammar or sentence structure 25% of the scoring. Finally, when we use these, like I just did, finally, when we use these, notice my sharp change and adjustment in intonation when I use the discourse marker finally. It affects your intonation, which affects pronunciation and intonation. It literally raises your score on every level, in every area of scoring. So when I teach or coach people for IELTS, that's basically the #1 point. You don't do it, you can, and you do it, and you do it well, you can literally rise 3 band scores by becoming an expert at doing this. Okay, let's continue our test. I told you I'd get excited. I don't know when to stop. Let's continue. V. Okay, V, what is your favorite place in your home?
In my home, there are so many beautiful places, so I think it is very hard for me to choose one. But because my city is famous for its beaches, so I think my favorite must be the ocean and the white beaches because it's very funny and relaxing whenever I go there to swim with my friends or my family's member. And
Okay, thank you. Time out. All right. Now, the interviewer would probably stop you here. V,
okay.
I'm going to repeat my question. What is your favorite place in your home? That means inside of your house. I could be wrong, V, but I seriously doubt you have a beautiful beach inside your house. Right?
I'm sorry because I mistook hometown. I'm sorry for that.
Ah, right.
I must
So,
be careful next time.
you must be careful, but it is an excellent lesson for everybody who is maybe viewing this video or for Mauro over here. That's how we learn, is by making mistakes. So don't feel bad.
Yeah.
People do this. They get so anxious to answer the question, they don't fully take time to give it a couple seconds and make sure they understand the question.
Yeah.
In IELTS, you will lose points if you're speaking off topic. And unfortunately, the same way that you gain points for using discourse markers in all areas of scoring, if you go off topic, the crazy IELTS assumption is that you don't know how to organize it, you don't know the vocabulary, you don't know how to make sentences, and you don't know how to actually pronounce the words talking about a favorite place at home. They assume the worst, so you lose points everywhere. So this is a killer. Make sure you understand the question. In addition, you do not lose points for asking for clarification. Okay? Now, if you ask, what does the word favorite mean? They're gonna, okay, you're gonna lose a little mark there for vocabulary because you should know that word. But if you say, oh, by home, do you mean inside my house or do you mean in my hometown?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I thought that the home is just mentioned to the family, but the house is different because the house is the object. So if you change the topic by in your house, maybe I can answer in another way. But because I thought a home like I usually think, it must be my family. So that's why I chose the topic out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Right. I understand your reasoning, but my point is, if there's any doubt in your mind, go ahead and ask for clarification. You cannot lose points by asking a clarification question. Something like, to be clear, would you like me to talk about blah, blah, blah? And in fact, if you know how to pose that question correctly, you could actually gain points in the exam. It's a no-brainer. So anything that's not perfectly clear to you, ask. It can only help you. Okay, I'll come back to you. I'm going to go over to Mauro now. Mauro, very similar question.
Yes.
What feature do you like the most about your house or apartment?
My favorite picture is a poster of James Dean. Because I like the icon of James Dean and what represent in in American films, in American movies, and the story of American movies. But I like also some movies of him, like The Giant, like Rebel Without Reason. I think I remember this, but I'm not sure about the title. I think is that. Okay, and I like the character of him, and so I prefer some icons of American movies, also Marlon Brando or Sylvester Stallone, like Rocky, and and in fact in my house there are some pictures of actors and actresses.
Okay. Okay. I was worried you're going to go off topic, but you brought it back. You brought it back. Actually, that was a good demonstration of. All right, you start to go off topic, bring it back to the original question. And I also like Marlon Brando and blah blah blah. And you started talking about movies and films. I was afraid you're getting lost there, Mauro. But then, very good. You said, okay, so regarding my house, I have a lot of pictures of famous film stars in my house. Okay, great, cool. Is it this one? Is it the one where he's kind of looking like with the leather jacket, Mauro? Is it that one? He's got a cigarette.
Yes.
That one.
Like also Al Pacino. Do you know like Scarface?
Yeah, that's my James Dean impression. I hope you liked it. Okay, you said you like a lot of movies of him. It should be a movies of his. His movies, possessive pronoun, right? Okay, and just so you know, I don't even know how they score that actually. If you get a title wrong or the name of a book, I have no idea, to tell you the truth, how they score that. But the movie is Rebel Without a Cause, not without a reason. Rebel Without a Cause.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Just to be clear, I have no idea how that would affect your score.
Because in Italy, the title is completely different from American title.
Right. Okay, but this brings up a very interesting aspect because books, movies, these are TV shows. These are very common topics in Ielts. So that brings up a very good point. The title in okay, so all right. The title in French is Merci, Monsieur. Okay, how would you say this in Ielts? Okay, I watched this great movie called Merci, Monsieur. In English, that would be thank you, sir. That's how to do it. You can use your native language in the IELTS test, but only if it's someone's name or the name of a book or movie or TV star. And if it is a title, title of a movie or book or TV show, you should translate it. In English, that would be blah, 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 blah. That's the way to handle that situation. Or something like the closest English translation would be, and then say it in English. you should not, and this is a heavy penalty, you should not ever use your native language in the test. Some people get frustrated and they say, you know, and another thing is como está? They start thinking and oh, what is that word? And they say that out loud in their native language. That's a killer. That's a real killer for your score. That's like a bomb, nuclear bomb. There goes your IELTS score. Don't do that. And also related to that, don't go. And I washed my hands in the what do you call that thing? The put your hands under. Don't say what do you call that thing? How do you call it? What is it called? Don't think out loud. Do that in your head. Don't say it. People get nervous and they do that. That's going to cost you points. But okay. It's actually better to just make a mistake, you know. I washed my hands in the pig bucket. It doesn't matter. It's better to make one mistake on one vocabulary word than to make huge pauses, which they hate, or create really bad sentences or whatever. One vocabulary word is not going to kill you in this exam. It's relatively unimportant. It's a very small miscue.
Teacher, a question. So for you, it's better that we don't use the hands when we speak, because you know Italian people move. Yes. So if in exam or in exam is better that we don't use the hands, moving the hands.
That is absolutely the worst advice I've ever heard, Mauro. No, in fact, if you're Italian and I do this too. Or
yes.
I move my hands and I shake my head around and I use expressions with my face when I talk. You should do that. Whatever makes you comfortable, buddy. If it makes you comfortable and you feel good speaking that way, absolutely, you should do that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Feel free. And in fact, it's nothing but good. That's a good thing. They want you should as well look the interviewer in the eye when you're talking to him. Don't, you know, and I live in a city which is in the central of, don't do that.
Okay.
It's going to, whether it actually costs you points directly, it's going to annoy the interviewer at the very least. One way or the other, it's going to cost you points. It's very much there's a paradox here with this exam, and this is the paradox. You are on one hand, your delivery, the way that you speak and in the manner that you speak should be casual conversation, like talking to a friend, and it needs to be natural. You need to have natural intonation, a natural flow rhythm, and a fluid pacing, and well-organized speech. So you need to sound natural. They want you to use phrasal verbs and idioms, colloquialisms, natural speech. They want you to use contractions. I didn't want to do it, and he said he'd do it, but I knew he wouldn't, so I ended up doing it anyway. They want you to use reduced speech and contractions. Even slang is perfectly okay. Even expressive interjections. Holy smokes! What kind of a question is that? I've never thought about that before, but okay, I suppose you do things like that on the IELTS test. That is good. Okay, so there's the paradox. They want you to speak in a natural way, but on the other hand, the paradox is they want you to use sentence structure, more varieties, conditional sentences, relative clauses, compound complex sentences. They want to force you to use a wide variety of English skills in vocabulary and sentence structure that is not natural. It's not natural to say, well, I suppose The first important aspect that I need to talk about is no. If you're talking to your best friend, you're going to say, well, for one thing, da 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 da. For another thing, da da da. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's the way you're normally going to talk. You're not going to use these long introductory phrases. So they want you to speak naturally, but they don't. Because it's not natural to cram in as many different words. You're not worried about that in natural speech. Who cares? But in the exam, you are. So you need to avoid using the same vocabulary words over and over again. Signal phrases or key words, key nouns, key verbs. You got to think of synonyms or synonymous phrases. So that's the paradox with IELTS. You're sounding as natural as possible without speaking as natural as possible. It's crazy. Let's move topics. V. V?
Yes, hello.
V, what kind of movies do you like?
I like a lot of kind of movie, but the thing I like the most is romantic and comedy movies because I think this life is traumatic enough. So when I want to entertain myself, I need something very funny and really relaxing. And mm, one of my favorite film movies is something related to the heroes, like the Untitled. I don't remember exactly the name of that movie, but I usually go to the cinema with my friends at the weekend, and I think it is very comfortable and really enjoying.
Okay. All right. I was worried that you wouldn't have enough material there. A couple things. Okay. In all the questions, if you can, break it into two parts and talk about two things. And talk about them separately. And you started doing that by talking about romantic movies and comedy movies. All right, I like the romantic movies, and then I like to cry. I like to watch them with my girlfriends, and then we talk about the movie after when we go out for coffee, and we talk about how brave and handsome the movie star was in the movie. And on the other hand, I also like to comedy movies, and I like to laugh. Okay, like that. All right. If you do that through the exam, you concentrate on having two things to talk about. This is really going to help you. It makes it
Yeah.
easy to get through the
Yeah.
test. You don't have to think about things. Just what two things? That's it. Not 100 things.
Yeah.
Okay. Small subject-verb agreement problem. My two favorites is romantic and comedy. Of course, it should be. My favorites are.
Yeah. And you know that's because initially I thought just romantic, but after that I figured out that I need to add it. I need to add more comedy, so I put it on my sentence. Then I realized that I make another mistake, but it's
Right.
too late. Yeah, it's too late. I cannot go back.
Yeah, you need two things. Always say two things. Here's another thing. They may try to trick you by saying, what kind of book do you like? What kind of, or what type of, singular. Don't fall for it. You're not wrong to give two answers. Or what kinds of, plural, then obviously you need to talk about at least two. So if you always answer two, you're good. Another point here, like questions especially, but also sometimes dislike, are very common questions on the IELTS exam. Cultivate a good vocabulary of verbs that mean like. I enjoy, I like, I adore, I'm keen on, my favorite is, I'm really into. Okay, because you're probably going to be answering this question 2 or 3 times, and you want to use different words every time. Don't use like. They always use like in the question. So forget about the word like. Use some other word. Oh, I completely love other ways to say it. And dislike. I hate, I abhor, I can't stand. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this is
You're
the
welcome.
first time. Yeah, this is the first time I received some kind of comment, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad. Okay, one other small thing, and it may not seem like a big thing, but it is important. You said it is comfortable and enjoying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for one, not enjoying, enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is comfortable. Now, I know that's what it looks like in English, but no English speaker says that. We say comfortable.
Yeah.
The OR is just dropped out of the.
Comfortable. Comfortable.
That's
Is
it.
that right? Yeah, thank
You
you.
got it, V. You got it.
Comfortable. Yeah. I think this word is as tricky as a vegetable because I usually make mistake with vegetable. I really
Yeah.
hate that. So yeah, vegetable. Yeah.
You're very good. That's another one. Okay, but the Brits do say vegetable. Americans say vegetable, exactly as you did. Very good. Yeah, there are others. Separate is separate. Put them in separate containers. We drop it. This chocolate becomes chocolate.
Chocolate.
It's another one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is a point. This is called elision, when you drop sounds, you drop phonetic sounds, or even whole syllables get just dropped out of the language. Even whole words sometimes. When we do reduced speaking, we drop entire words occasionally. It's called elision, and honestly, in the pronunciation category of the Ielts exam, that's high quality stuff. If you do that, if you give a couple examples of that in the exam, they're thinking 8 or 9. That's high up there. Advanced stuff. Elision. Knowing when to incorrectly pronounce words, when to drop sounds. It's very interesting, actually, that they do this. In that level 9, I have not said this all week, by the way. I've been doing this class all week. I rarely say this because usually I'm thinking the students need to get a 7 or an 8, rah, rah, rah. But in pronunciation, I just said it. Elision, knowing when to mispronounce words. In grammar, if you know when to use incorrect grammar, that's when they start thinking you might be a level 9 advanced speaker. If you know, I went with my friend to get a coffee at the store. Coffee's uncountable. We're not allowed to say a coffee in English. However, native speakers totally ignore this grammar rule consistently. And if you know that, that means you're a high level speaker. It's interesting, but some part of the IELTS scoring criteria includes the idea that knowing when to mess up, knowing in your delivery, knowing when to have a dramatic pause like that. That's when they start thinking, wow, this may be a level 9 speaker. When you know when to screw up. In other words, to be blunt. Okay. Okay, now I want to try an interesting, oh, this is perfect for Moro. Moro? Okay, on the same, I know you like movies, so this category is right up your alley. Here's your question, Moro.
Yeah.
If you had a chance, would you like to make a film?
Yes. It's one of my dreams. or one of my dreams, because I prefer a movie, a thriller movie, or an action movie. Because my favorite actors are all I don't remember the name, the noun when someone wants to. I lost the speech.
Okay.
I'd like to say that I prefer actors that in some kind of movies, but I don't remember the verb, like character, you know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. What a type of character? A character actor?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're.
Like Bruce Willis, no, is an actor of action movie. Okay, and every movie that he does, he makes, is action movie. It's not romantic movie or I don't know, horror movie. You know, Bruce Willis always makes action movie. But I don't remember the verb of like makes movie. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Produces? You mean he
produces? Yes. Produces. Okay.
Ah, okay. There you go. Okay, I see. Right.
And so I prefer I prefer action movies for my dream, you know, for my. But
okay. Okay. Hold the phone. The interviewer might stop you on that one. Okay. Let's take a look first at this question. If you had a chance, would you like to make a film? Here is another important point in Ielts. Obviously, you have to understand the question, but somewhere in the back of your mind, you should also be thinking about recognizing the verb tense of the question. All right. Up to now in this class, I've been asking all present tense, but they are certainly going to ask you present, past, and future tense questions to make sure that you can use present, past, and future tense verbs and sentence constructions. This question, if you had a chance, would you like to make a film? This is a conditional. They're giving you the opportunity. Don't look at it as a problem, it's an opportunity. They're giving you the opportunity to use a conditional question in your response so as to raise your score. They're helping you raise your score by giving you the chance to do this very complex sentence construction. So you most certainly need to mirror the verb tense of the question, especially in your first sentence. Think about it. Don't say it exactly. Don't say it exactly the same way. Don't say, if I had a chance, I would love to make a film. Try to change it a little bit. I would produce a film in a New York minute if I had the opportunity. I know that's pretty complex for language learners, but change it a little bit. If I had an opportunity, I would jump for joy at the chance to make a movie. Change one or two of the words.
Sorry, teacher. But so the question is in the past. Yes.
No, it isn't. This is
the past. No, if you have.
No, it isn't. This is called the second conditional. Let me demonstrate a little bit. The first conditional means you think it's reasonable and it's true. If it rains, I will not go to the beach. All right, it rains all the time. It is reasonable to use the first conditional in that sentence. It's quite reasonable to assume that it will rain. However, if we're talking about something in the present or future that we see as not being reasonable, then we use the past tense. Okay. If space aliens landed on the Earth, I would go live in a cave. All right, notice my verb tense. It's highly unlikely. It hasn't happened yet, in my point of view, as the speaker. If space aliens landed, past tense, I would, in the future, hypothetical future, imaginary future, would go live in a cave. You see, that's the second conditional. It is about now or the future, but we do use past tense. And that's why it's a very tricky construction. You are right, it's using past tense. The if clause gets past tense, and then you use would. And present tense.
Yes, it's okay, but the difference when we use the first or the second about what? The first, the first conditional, we use the first conditional when we use the second conditional, the second.
It is entirely up to the speaker. Let me simplify it. If the speaker believes the condition, the if clause, if I drop this pencil, if I think that that's a reasonable thing that could happen, it will land on the desk. Well, that's pretty reasonable. I got a pencil. If I drop, oh, look, it happened. Oh, okay. It was a realistic condition. All right. If I stick this pencil up my nose, if I stuck, past tense, if I stuck this pencil up my nose, I would pierce my brain and kill myself.
Yes.
Not likely. That's not gonna happen. All right. So in this case, that's not gonna happen. That's very hypothetical, imaginary. All right. Then I'm gonna use the second conditional. So it's completely up to the speaker. If the speaker's crazy, they may use the first conditional to talk about space aliens. All right.
So the second is used like an idea, an imaginary idea.
Correct.
There are more opportunities that happen in the first conditional, the situation, you know.
It depends what kind of person you are, Mauro. If you're very creative and you like to talk about creative hypothetical situations with your friends, then you'll probably find more opportunity for the second. If you're an extremely practical person, if you're an accountant and you never imagine anything, you've never written a story or painted a picture or played a song on a trombone or played guitar, or you don't like art, then probably conditional number one is for you.
Okay.
That's impossible to say, really, honestly. Okay. Yeah. Again, it's completely up to the speaker. So, yeah. Okay. The point is, getting back to Ielts, if you have they often ask. Now, this is unusual when they directly phrase the question as a conditional. That's unusual. It is very normal for them to say, would you like to live near the ocean? It's the same opportunity. If I had the chance, I would love to live on the beach. You should immediately answer that question with a conditional, because that's what they're doing. They're giving you a chance to do a a higher level construction and raise your score. That's boom. That's like going a whole level in the sentence construction category instantly. If you manage to do it, it's an opportunity. Again, in IELTS, when they're giving you questions, they could care less what your favorite movie is, or if you want to make a movie or not, or where you work. Who cares? They're interviewing 50 people today, and I got to do another 50 tomorrow. They're not going to remember you, and they just don't care about you. Please realize that. They could care less. They are focused on the verb tenses you used, your sentence construction, noun, verb, object, noun, prepositional phrase. They are so intensely focused on that. Believe me, I used to work in a school, in an academy, and I would do speaking test assessments very similar to IELTS. And oh my goodness, I would do like 50 kids in a day. And then a kid would come up to me and say, teacher, how did you like my test? How did you like what I said? I couldn't remember a thing he told me. I have no idea. Because what I would answer is, well, your rhythm was off and you missed some verb tenses, especially in the past tense. And I also noticed that you had some repetition. And he said, no, but what did you think about my story? I would have to say, I'm sorry, I don't remember your story. It's like, psh, that's varnish, that's gloss. That's not what I'm doing. I'm listening to your speaking. And the IELTS test is the same way. The people scoring your exam could care less about, they're not even going to remember what you talked about. 2 seconds later, they're not going to remember. They're totally not thinking that way. They've compartmentalized their brains, and they're not conversing with you, they're scoring you. So don't worry. When it comes to the third part of the test and you're giving your opinion, you have to give supporting reasons for your opinion. It doesn't matter if they're good reasons. They could be the dumbest reasons in the world. They could be the most unimportant reasons in the world. As long as you're using good English sentence construction and vocabulary, that's all that matters. You're not being scored on the quality of your answers, if it's true or not. If you can't think of something to say, lie. Lie, 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 lie. No one's checking you for the truth. No one cares. And on that note, good luck on your IELTS exam. I have to go. I hope you guys learned a few things. Thanks a lot for helping me out with the class. I got to go. Got another class to get to, so bye-bye for now. V?
It is
Teacher.
so funny to
Thank
see
you,
you.
teacher.
Bye-bye. See you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.